A stone attached to a string is moving in a horizontal circle. The constant speed of a stone is v. The diagram below shows the stone in two different positions, x and y. Which of the following shows the direction of the change of velocity of the stone when moving from x to y? Always change in something, it's the final value minus the initial value. But here we should consider the change of velocity, and velocity it's a vector quantity, so we need the difference of two vectors. And let's review how to find the difference of two vectors. First of all, if you move parallelly a vector, it will be the same vector because its coordinates will be the same. So, for example, if there are two vectors a and b, to find their difference, we move parallelly these vectors so that they start at the same point. Then we connect end points, and if arrow is in this direction, it's a minus b, and if arrow is in this direction, it's b minus a. So direction of the resultant vector must be in direction to that vector from which it is subtracted. So for this problem, the final velocity vector is this vector, and the initial velocity vector or the vector of the initial velocity is this vector, to be more correct, and the vector of the final velocity is this vector. So we need to consider this vector minus this vector. And to find the difference, it will be like this: the vector of the final velocity and the vector of the initial velocity, and connect endpoints, and arrow must be in this direction because this vector minus this vector, and it's the required change in velocity vector. So the correct answer is D. And notice that if you need the change in a scalar quantity, scalar has only magnitude value and has no direction. You just consider the final value minus the initial value, and that's all. But if you need the change in vector quantity, you should consider the difference of two vectors. And if you need the magnitude, you consider a triangle, and each side is equal to the length or magnitude of the corresponding vector, and from a triangle you can find the resultant magnitude of a vector. For example, if or actually we can find here the magnitude of change in velocity. We can see that there is a right angle triangle, and it's just a hypotenuse, and hypotenuse it's side multiplied by √2. So the magnitude of the vector, which is a change in velocity, it will be speed, magnitude of the velocity vector multiplied by √2, just the Pythagoras theorem. And that's all for this question.